So there was another poll come out about black voters. And they are highly, concerned about black voters. This country monitors everything about black people. Don't you think that black people are insignificant to them? They watch how we vote, they watch how we eat. They watch what we watch on TV, what we look at on the internet. I mean, everything that we do, they want to monitor it. So voting is definitely something they going to watch. I mean, other people, they got their thoughts, but we only one they're concerned about. So there's a sister by the name of Stacey Mumford, says she's a concern. Now, this is my problem. You say Joe Biden, fulfilled the campaign promise to her that mattered most the instant he was inaugurated. He was simply not being named Donald Trump. And unfortunately, a lot of people in our community voted for that reason. He's just not Trump. But when you ask what did actually Trump put down as a policy to hurt black Americans, none of them could answer that question whatsoever. You're only following what your liberal, paymaster said. If anybody that should have had an issue with Trump would be immigrants. They would have an issue with Trump because that's actually who he went after more than anybody else. We're talking about domestically, but rank and file black Americans whose, family been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. What did he actually do? Okay. So they say within 18 months since then, she hasn't seen Biden deliver on the myriad of pilot promises she believes he made to her and other black voters. She said there's been little movement on police reform or voting rights protections. Gas prices in her town of Thomasville, Georgia, near the Florida border, approached $4 a gallon this week. He said her most recent raise was gobbled up by the rising price of everything, including food and rent. And she worries about the students at the school where she works because she says gun control is another thing Biden has not successfully delivered. But all was required for you was he just wasn't Donald Trump. See, black people stay losing because you are an emotional people. You don't let logical thinking be king and queen. You let emotions get to you. And when anyone is moving on emotion, they always make a mistake. This is why you never make a major life decision when you have emotion, when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're depressed. You don't make decisions in any kind of emotional state. You have to make decisions that's very, very logical, something that you thought out, but that's not how a lot of black people move. And these people know that. Now, they continue to say Mumford believes the president is well-intentioned and that his campaign promises were made in good faith, but she hoped that a politician who spent 36 years as a senator and 8 as a vice president would have more of a deft hand. He said he's not really holding up to his end of the bargain, she said. Now, they say some things he promised, some things he's done, but we are still struggling as a whole. We are still struggling. Well, as Kamala would say, let me roll what Kamala would say about that.
Because as we all know, elections matter. And when folks vote, they order what they want. And in this case, they got what they asked for.
So as you heard what Kamala had to say, you got what you voted for. You got it. This what you wanted. He wasn't Trump, right? Now, another reason black America stay losing. They say 6 in 10 black Americans say Biden is keeping most of his campaign promises, but more than a third say he's not. Okay, so black Americans, 60% of them say that Biden is keeping his major campaign promises. Well, if you a voter that was like this particular sister, I guess he have, because he's not Trump. But there's 37% in the black community that say, no, he ain't done anything. I told y'all the other day, the majority in the black community still believe in this place. They still believe that they going to treat us better one day in the sweet by and by. They believe that we going to just have a claim and to run this place and all of that. And like, I just shake my head in it. But like I said, I'm not trying to save nobody at this point. I only want to reach the people, as I said before, who were in the back of their mind, knew basically what I'm talking about. I say, man, I've been here knowing that. It's been in the back of my head, but man, I heard this brother say it, and I knew I wasn't the only one thinking like this. That's the people that I try to reach. I'm not trying to reach y'all out here. That all it was for his name to be Joe Biden, not Donald Trump, and that was good enough for you, and it shows. Now, they said like Mumford, roughly 9 in 10 black voters supported Biden in 2020, and they said that more than 1,200 black Americans this spring finds what appears to be a diminishing report. And there's 7 in 10 that say of Biden's job performance, and fewer than 1/4 strongly approve. A 60% majority of black Americans say Biden is keeping most of his major campaign promises. But if we go back to what we were saying earlier, if he's just not Trump, I guess he is keeping a promise. But for the rest of us that got common sense, no, this man haven't done anything. Okay, now they said that the poll shows much stronger support for Biden in the black community than most other groups. It said, but the support is growing less intense among his loyal constituency heading into the midterm elections, and younger black Americans are significantly less enthusiastic about the president than older ones. There we go. I was talking about that. They said black registered voters still overwhelmingly support Democratic candidates in the midterms, according to the poll, but they're less likely to say the election matters to them than they did before the Biden-Trump contest. They say a fewer say they are certain to vote. Okay, then they have this another section that says 7 in 10 black Americans approve of Biden. The majority say somewhat. Okay, they said many also express relatively little faith in the institution of voting itself. That black Americans are less confident that all eligible citizens will have a fair opportunity to vote than white or Hispanic Americans who were asked the same question. They said black voters are particularly important to the president and the political party he leads. And said voters like Mumford have propelled Biden to an 11,779 vote victory in Georgia. The first time a Democratic presidential candidate prevailed in the state since 1992. It's saying 2 months after Biden won the White House, 2 Democrats narrowly won Georgia Senate seats, handing the party what many black voters hope would be a governing majority large enough to enact sweeping changes. But those changes have been slow in coming, particularly on issues that matter to black Americans. That's in part because the Senate is split 50-50 between parties, and Vice President Harris breaking ties and passing most bills through the chamber requires 60 votes. Now, I know, I don't support the filibuster at all. Some people do. I think Marcel said that he supported the filibuster because he said, what if we in the minority, we could stop legislation and all of that? And I'm like, well, why would you want to stop anything? You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, if the House of Representatives is, majority vote, the Senate should be majority vote. And the filibuster was brought in to stop legislation to help black Americans. So I would not want that to stay, but that's me. That's me. And Biden listen to this filibuster once again. It is a Senate rule, not a law, and they can get rid of a rule at any given time. Now, I want to let y'all know something. When it came up to the Asian hate crime bill, there was no filibustering then. They just took majority vote. They say efforts, they say to reform, they say the race soldiers, they say demands heard nationwide after the murder of George Floyd stalled in Congress and ended with an executive order that Biden acknowledged didn't not go as far as he hoped, even as he signed it. Rising inflation has been eating people's incomes and threatened Biden's political prospects. The federal government has done little to bolster voting protection, despite a raft of state legislation that activists say put obstacles between black people and voting booths. As they asked about the failure of Democrat voting right effect in the Senate, they say 46% of black Americans say they were disappointed, and another 15% say they were angry. But among those with negative reactions, 84% blame Biden. They say a little or not at all. They say while several of the people polled who were later contacted, they expressed frustration at the slow or non-existent progress. Many stressed that blame was not solely with the president. Okay. Now they asked him a question. Do you think Biden is sympathetic to the problems of black people in this country or not? Now, in 2020, they said 74% black people felt he was sympathetic. Now it's 66%. It's still overwhelming majority. See, people, this is what we got to deal with in this country. Don't be shocked about those midterms of black people. I don't want y'all to think that when these midterms come up, you're going to see something revolutionary with black people and everybody going to just turn away and stay home and all. No, please don't think that, when the majority of black folks still think Biden is actually care about black people. Okay. Now they say overall, say Biden's 70% job approval rating among black Americans remain much higher, say among the public overall. It said about 2/3 of black Americans, as they say that Biden is sympathetic to the problems of the black people in this country, while 32% say he's not. That's a decrease from 74% who said Biden was sympathetic in 2020, but still contrasts sharply with how black Americans see the Republican Party. It said 3/4 of black Americans say the Republican Party is racist against black Americans, and say a quarter say about the same about the Democrat Party. Okay. So as I'm looking at it here, they're saying that 75% of black folks feel the Republican Party is racist, but only 25% of black folks feel that the Democrat Party is racist. Both parties are racist. Both. Okay. Both. Now you only have 20% that say the Republicans isn't racist. I would say the Republican Party is the one that outwardly show their racism. And the Democrats are better at, running game on you. Okay. Now they say Republican leaders take issue, with the notion that their party is racist and argue that their policies from low taxes to deletion are better for the black community. They say there are voices that say if you're a poor black single mother like mine, they say deletion is your best option. That's what Tim Scott said. Say the lone black Republican in the Senate. It said tweeted last month. It said they must not know that the story of African Americans is one of victory, overcoming odds, and triumph in the face of tragedy. But it says little doubt that most black Americans support Democrats, even in the face of mounting frustration. Now, Ricky Johnson, they say a retired police officer from Fredericksburg, Virginia, says he agrees with many of Biden's policy positions, but believes the president has been outmaneuvered by a Republican Party set on obstruction and let down by a Democrat Party stymied in disunity. He said that the Republicans are not going to let Biden be successful because it terribly diminishes their chances for 2024. Now, this guy is 60 years old, but he said Biden has also similarly hobbled by his own party and couldn't pull the party together to have one thought. He said, you think about how the Republican Party always attacks, they attack together. The Democrat Party doesn't attack like a fist, they attack like five fingers. They go in different directions. Now, there's another young sister by the name of Deanna Whitlow. She's 20 years old, college student in Chicago, said she started out with low expectations for Biden since he followed someone extreme as Trump. She said, I feel like I can't be too picky, adding that she approved of Biden's efforts to expand voting rights and advance climate issues, but believe not enough progress has been made on police reform and deletion rights. And said she described herself as a Democrat, but said Biden wasn't her first choice for president. As I said before, they had 17 other Democrats they could have voted for. And black people, like I say, black people, you got to own this. You got to own this. You got to own what's happening in our community. You got to own it. You ran out there and voted Biden just because he wasn't Trump. You couldn't come to anything that he was going to do for black folk. He didn't make no promises to black people, but just because he wasn't Trump, your behind ran out there. Now, when Trump was in office, gas was $2.7 a gallon. Biden's in office, that's doubled. It's doubled. I looked at my bill, my credit card bill. I had my credit card bill for the month was $464. I've never paid that much on my credit card ever for gas. Never. My gas normally would be maybe 175, maybe 200, Not too much. I'm talking about for the month. And we're talking about for me and my wife. Two vehicles. And now I'm paying close to 500. It's probably going to definitely go over 500. With these gas prices, every time I go to the gas station, it go up and up and up. Then the food prices, that's high. Then, I don't have no little babies, but the baby formula situation. What if you do have a baby? But at least he's not Trump. That's why we stay losing. Aren't y'all tired of losing? Aren't y'all tired? Now, they said that also many black Americans did not let Biden off for the hook. They said that he has not done enough, for example, to push through changes to a criminal justice system. They widely condemn and slanted against black people. They say 1 in 5 black Americans say Biden has done a great deal or a good amount to reduce discrimination in the criminal justice system, while 76% say he has done little or nothing. They say Biden has acted unilaterally in some areas to implement police reform. The Justice Department implemented a ban on chokeholds and cordon restraints for federal officers, began requiring agents to wear body cams, severely limited the use of no-knock warrants, like the one factored in on Breonna Taylor. But because they are presidential orders and not laws, those changes affect only federal officers and agents, not the thousands of local and state police departments across the country. Now let's get to the part where we talked about the age. So they said, overall, do you approve or disapprove of the way Joe Biden is handling his job as president? The 18 to 39-year-olds are at 60%. The 40 to 64-year-olds say 74% approve of Biden. And 65 and older, 86% approve of Biden. Once again, I'm going to repeat this again. Do not be surprised in the midterms when black folk go run their happy self out there and go vote Democrat. I do not like being on a losing team, folks. Most people don't want to be on the losing team. We can complain about racism, white supremacy all day, but how can we really complain when we are sabotaging ourselves? Politically, we're sabotaging ourselves. The white supremacists don't really have to do too much to us because they already got the majority of our community brainwashed. The majority. The only people, this is what I was telling y'all, that third. So between the 18 and 39-year-olds, 39% get it. Between the 40 and 64-year-olds, 24% get it. And between the 65 and older, 12% get it. Understand what I'm saying? They get it. And the majority in each group don't. And the majority in those groups are fighting to try to get us to join their side to approve of the Democrats. That's why I talk the way I talk about certain things in this country. I don't like people like sabotaging me, man. We sabotage ourselves. We sabotage ourselves all the freaking time when it comes to politics. Then y'all want to get mad at other groups that come in here. The other groups be on code with each other. See, the Asians not cutting each other's throat like black folks are. Hispanics aren't cutting each other's throat. Indians, East Indians, they're not cutting each other's throat like that. They come in here on code and on a mission, and that's how they get above us, and that's how they're constantly getting above us because they play the game better. They're on code. They don't care about political parties. All they care about is what you gonna do for me. And only a small amount of people in our community think that way, and the majority don't. And everything is a numbers game, folks. Everything. We can have the most well-meaning black folk in America, but that majority is going to outvote you and going to screw us every time. They're going to screw us. Now, they said that Biden also recently pardoned 3 people and commuted the sentences of 75 non-violent drug offenders. It said amid calls of leniency in the system that disproportionately affects black people. They say, again, they said age as it continues to be the dividing line in black people's opinions of Biden, continuing a pattern that was first evident in the 2020 primary. It said Biden's approval rating peaks at 86% among black Americans. Of course, we talked about the different ages. They said that about 9 in 10 black voters said they will vote for a Democratic House candidate. So they asked them if the election for the U.S. House of Representatives would be held today, would you vote for a Democrat candidate or Republican candidate in your congressional district? If you had to choose, would you lean toward and 88% said Democrat, 9% said Republican, 1% said neither, 1% said they would not vote, and 1% said no opinion. But 88% Democrat. That's what screws us politically in this country. My God, man. I just can't stand this crowd. Now, this is what they also said. They asked about half of black people say Biden has been good for black Americans. 4% said the same about Trump in 2020. So 49% of black folk said that Biden has been good for black people. How? Hella high gas prices, inflation through the roof, rent through the roof, food prices through the roof, shortages. How has he been good for black America? When during the time of the pandemic, he would cause a lot of y'all to lose your jobs. How has he been good for black people? I'm trying to figure that out. Now, 37% said he has been neither good or bad, and only 12% say he's been bad. Okay. Now, when it comes to Trump in 2020, 76% of black folks said Trump was bad for black folk. 18% say he was either good or bad, and 4% said that he was good. Oh, boy. I tell you, these people in our community. Now, they say that Biden has said he's running for re-election as the 2024 Democrat primary approaches. Say 43% of black Democrats say they would prefer Biden to have the nomination, followed by 29% of Kamala Harris. 7% picked Pete Buttigieg. Senator Bernie Sanders had 2%. And they said Michelle Obama had 1%. So even the majority still want Biden. God. Oh, Lord. Lord in heaven, help me, with the plans that, we have already in motion. Because you know what? These people just really want to be on a freaking plantation. It's just, it's horrible. It's horrible. But ladies and gentlemen, yes, because, one brother sent me this to look at. But once you start really going through the onion layers of this thing, yes, more people are upset with Biden than it was a few months ago. I get it. But don't expect black folk to do something that's just really going to be revolutionary politically. Don't expect that because I just know black folk. Like they just, like, once again, I said earlier, we are the most emotional group in the country. We do everything off of emotion, how I feel. Do I like him and her? Can you at least acknowledge me? That sort of thing. I can care less about acknowledgement. I can care less about any of that mess. Okay. Only thing I care about at this point is what you're going to do for me. I don't have to like you. Nothing. I have no attachment to you. But black folk, they got to like you. They got to feel like, oh my God, he really cares about us. It's a lot of black people in America has this definitely a paternalistic relationship with white folk. Definitely the white liberal. Paternalistic. You really look at them like your mammy and your pappy. You really do. And this is why a lot of you can't do something against your white liberal mammy and pappy. You can't do nothing against them. They can say the same words as a Republican. They can be racist, and you still won't even say anything. You're quiet about that. And y'all got mad when I said this before, and I say it again. The main reason why a lot of you don't even want to think about doing nothing else and want this attachment to this place is because you don't want to be away from your white mammy and pappy. Let's call it what it is. That's all you know. And you don't want to be around nothing else. I wish y'all was go ahead and admit that. I wish you admit it. Because calling me names, saying who's paying me, all of that, you still never answer the question. You still never answer the question. That's why even when you go around, we talking about other black people. You don't even want to be around even other black people. You don't even want to support other black people. We talking about right here in America. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. That's why I say I guess just God put me in here at a certain dispensation of time. But to the people, like I said before, that I speak to, the people that know something's wrong, the people that say this can't be life, the people that say I'm not for being sabotaged all my life by my own people. I know white supremacy gonna sabotage me, but my own people. For those of you who say that, I want you to, like I said before, just, open your horizon, start traveling, start doing different things. I said, because this group of people in this country, they don't know no other way to be subservient to white supremacy. And I think not as many black people are going to vote in this current election that's coming up. I do think it's going to be more Republicans that's going to get voted in for the simple fact of the inflation, for the gas prices, rent, food prices, stuff like that, because a lot of black people are suffering. I don't understand black people. You're suffering the most out of all of this. You're suffering, and you would still go vote Democrat because everything with you is emotion. That Republican, he racist. I can care less if he racist. That Republican ain't coming to my house. He ain't coming to my party. He ain't coming to nothing. All I care about is what you going to do to benefit like black people. That's all I want to know. I don't got to like you. I don't have to like you. I mean, a lot of black folks act like they in kindergarten. He don't like me. She don't like me. Act like a child. And that's why we are politically ignored. We're politically ignored even by the party that you vote for. Because they say, we got their votes. I ain't worried about that. I ain't doing nothing for them. But they jump through hoops for immigrants. They jump through hoops for Ukrainians. They jump through hoops for everybody else. Biden have no problem doing stuff for Ukrainians. Won't do nothing for y'all, but have no problem doing stuff for Ukrainians. And y'all still approve of him. But, let's go back to the beginning. He fulfilled the greatest campaign promise ever to most black folk. He wasn't Donald Trump. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure that you leave definitely the like for sure. Make sure you subscribe to when we post the next podcast. And if you're enjoying the show, make sure you join our memberships. That's greatly appreciated. Or you want to leave a cash app, that's also great appreciated. And we definitely want to thank you for listening and see you next time.